So this is part 2 of how to set up Revit families to work best in LightStanza. This is how to set up linear families correctly. So you have two linear types in Revit. You have linears that are fixed length and linears that are instance length. And so over here I have linears that are fixed length. They're 4 feet. So if I go to edit type here, I can see that the custom length parameter, which is a type parameter, is set to 4 feet. And then if I go over here, I can see that on this fixture, which I can change its length, that its custom length parameter, which is an instance-based parameter, so it'll be over here, same name, same parameter, except on this family it was changed to be instance, is 12 feet. And so I'm going to go and select this light fixture, right-click, edit family. And so I want this IES light source, the center of it, to change its position. Whether it's an instance linear or whether it's a fixed type linear. And so if I went over here, and went to this guy, edit family, we can also see that this is centered on the light fixture itself. So in order to get them centered on the light fixture itself, we'll start with the instance-based, we'll start with the fixed length linear. And so just again, the only thing you need for LightStanza to recognize your lighting fixture families as a lighting fixture is the light source definition checked. However, setting the position of your light source will save you a lot of time in LightStanza. And so that's what we're going to do now, is setting the position, not the exact IES file. And so I'm just going to go ahead and reset this. And so this is the generic. And so we'll go up to light source definition. We'll use a line. You can also use a rectangle depending if you want to see the exact opening in renderings. Line works fine. And we'll do photometric web. And so now we're going to change this to be a linear file IES. And so I have a saved one that I'm going to use. You can use any linear IES file from any manufacturer. It doesn't have to be the one you're actually going to use in LightStanza. It just has to be a placeholder so that you get the position and correct. So we'll go to Documents, LS Training, XAL. And so this is a 4-foot IES file. We'll hit OK. And so now if we go to a top view, we can see this is my IES file. It's not scaled correctly, as you can see the line here. And we want it to scale correctly, whether this is 4 feet, the geometry, or it's 6 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet, whatever. We want it to always be in the center, and we want it to be scaled left to right correctly. So to do that, in the fixed type linear, we're going to go up here to the family types, and right here we have this emit from line length. So there's a couple emit from parameters, and they show up depending on which light source definition you picked. So emit from line length shows up when you have line selected. And so this is a 4 foot. We can go ahead and set this to 4 feet. A better case would be, I don't want to have to set this when it's 6 feet. So I can set this to be equal to my dimension parameter, which is AKLD length. So I can do this. Okay. And then I can hit OK. And so now you can see that this is scaled to 4 feet. Now we want to align it on the center of this linear. So we can press AL. Press the center of this, find the center of the IES, go ahead and lock it to the reference plane, align it to the middle reference plane, align, lock. It's AL, the align tool. And so now it's centered on the light fixture geometry. So if I went up to here to family types and I change this to be 6 feet, hit OK. Now we can see that this geometry changed and the IES file stayed in the center, which is exactly what we want. 4 feet, OK. And we'll go to a front view now and we'll set the offset. So I want this IES file to be offsetted from the fixture geometry. So I can select the reference plane above, center, click on the dimension, and then select this dimension and choose the emit from line. Oh, I don't have it in here. So we're going to create it. So we want to create in IES file offset. So family parameter, it will be a type, the IES file offset, dimension, hit OK. And then now we can go up here to the family types and we can see and find the IS file offset. We can change this to be half an inch. Half an inch works best with most IS files. Hit OK. And then we can zoom in on this, press AL, select the reference plane, select the lighting source, there we go, and click lock. And so now as this changes and moves, the IS file will be centered and scaled and moved correctly. So that's for a fixed type, and then we can go ahead and load in a project and close. We won't save and overwrite existing. Okay. So now if we want to do an instance-based linear, which is a little bit more involved, as we can see here that our custom length parameter is actually grayed out. That's because we're controlling it from the emit from line length. So if I put in 20 feet here, it scales it to 20 feet. And this is helpful for keeping that IS file centered on the light fixture. So I'll explain how that works. So if we go in and go to Edit Family, let's go to a top view, we can see here that we have a dimension from two reference planes called the emit from line length. Now the emit from line length is actually a default Revit parameter, and it is actually default to a type parameter, and we've changed it to be an instance parameter. So let me just show an example of that. So if I go up here to the family types, emit from line length is set to be 4 feet. If I go to edit parameter, normally you're going to see this say type here, and it's grayed out so you can't change it. However, we were able to change it to be an instance parameter. So we were able to override the default Revit behavior and change it to be an instance parameter to keep our IS file centered. So I'll walk you through how we do that. So we already went through on how to get the light source in here, how to make it a linear, and how to lock it to the center. Okay. So the next steps after that on an instance-based linear family would be to add a dimension between these two planes. And so if we go to DI, press DI as dimensions, select both planes, click here, and then we would select this guy, and we would go ahead and choose emit from line length. And then once you have that selected, you're going to select an instance parameter. So that's how we change it from a type parameter to an instance parameter, is by this button right here. Great. And so we can go over here, go to family types, and if I changed the emit from line to 7, we now see it scaled to 7 feet. So, and the other thing you want to do is you want to set your custom length parameter to equal the emit from line length. So on instance-based linears, this AKLD length is not going to be typed like it was in the last family. If we go over here and edit, it's actually going to be an instance-based parameter. So it's a custom shared parameter that's instance-based. On the other linears, it was typed because it was fixed length. So, and this emit from line length is instanced. So I can set the AKLD length to be the emit from line length, and then I can control the length of the fixture through the same parameter on the fixed and instanced with the emit from line length. So we go ahead and hit OK. We could load in a project and close, but I'm going to close out of this. And now, once again, if we go here, we can change like this. Now, why would you want to set this emit? Why would I? If I didn't set the AKLD length to equal the emit from line length, right? I could just change this here, and it would change this length, right? And it can also drag, right? So why would I bother setting the emit from line length? Why not just ignore that formula setting, and so that I can set it from the parameter name that I know? So in terms of linears in Revit, if you're scheduling, you want the linear length to be the same parameter. You don't want to have to manage two different parameters, right? And so AKLD length, the parameter on this and the parameter on this fixed, if we go to edit type, are the same parameter, except on one family it's type and one family it's instance, right? And the emit from line length parameter is normally a type. So normally I wouldn't be able to assign it and control it from here. And so if I didn't change this emit from line length from an type to an instance, then I wouldn't be able to control the change the IES file centered position as I change the length of the instance-based linears, right? So with the type ones, we don't have to worry because everything is the same. And so the reason why you want to set this equal to your custom length parameter is so that you can keep the IES file center position the same as you change the length of the parameter. And also, in scheduling, you can use the same custom length parameter. You don't have to have two parameters. And so that's why you want to do that. There's also a video on the other two parameters we have in Revit for the proration and scaling of IES files. You can refer to that video for information on that.